Little boy begged bikers to kill his stepmom. Watch what bikers did. The clubhouse was loud with laughter, smoke, and music. Bottles clinked. Boots stomped against wood. Then the door creaked open. A boy no older than 8 stepped inside. His hands clutched coins and crumpled bills. His eyes were swollen. His voice was shaking. "Please, will you kill my stepmom?" What happened next? No one in that room could have imagined. Before we begin, let us know where in the world you're watching from, and please subscribe so we can keep sharing stories like this one. The Ironhawks Motorcycle Club wasn't used to surprises. Nights at the clubhouse were usually the same: laughter, beer, smoke in the air. But when the boy appeared in the doorway, everything stopped. His jeans were torn, shoes too big, cheeks stained with dirt and tears. He looked like he hadn't eaten properly in days. The men stared, their tattoos and leather making them look like giants compared to him. Hawk, the chapter president, leaned forward in his chair. His eyes, sharp as steel but softer than his men knew, studied the boy. "What's your name, son?" Hawk asked. The boy's lips trembled. "Ethan." Hawk crouched low, bringing his massive frame down to eye level. That's when Ethan whispered words that froze every man in that clubhouse. "I don't have much money, but if I give you this..." He opened his small hands, spilling coins and wrinkled bills onto the floor. "Will you kill my stepmom? She hurts me, and now she's going to hurt my little sister, Lily." The room fell into silence. Knives that had once been toys in men's hands stopped spinning. Tank, the biggest of them all, muttered under his breath, "Jesus." Hawk reached out gently, his hand resting on Ethan's trembling shoulder.
"Slow down, son."
"Why would you ask something like that?" Ethan's sleeve slipped back, revealing deep bruises climbing his arm. He flinched at Hawk's touch. His chest rose and fell quickly, words spilling out as though he had been holding them for too long. "She says I look too much like my dad. She locks me outside. Sometimes she doesn't feed me. But last night, she said she'd hurt Lily. She's only 4. She cries all the time. Please, I'll give you everything I have. Just stop her." The coins on the floor glittered in the dim light. Men who had stared down rival gangs and armed police lines looked away, their throats tightening. Snake flicked open his knife, the sound loud in the silence. "Let's ride right now," he growled. But Hawk raised his hand sharply. "No one moves." His gaze never left Ethan's face, a face carrying more pain than any child should bear. "Where's Lily now?" Hawk asked quietly. Ethan's voice broke. "At home, in the closet. She's all alone with her." The word sent a shiver through the room. Tank slammed his fist against the bar, making bottles rattle. "That woman's as good as dead." Rocco, the club's medic, stepped forward, crouching beside Ethan. He gently touched his ribs. The boy winced hard, sucking in a sharp breath. Rocco's jaw clenched. Couple ribs cracked. "He's been hit more than once." The men erupted in curses. Rage hung heavy in the air, but Hawk's deep voice cut through. "This kid didn't come here for pity. He came ready to pay killers. That's not just pain. That's desperation." The men fell silent again. Every biker understood the weight of those words. Ethan clutched Hawk's vest, his small hand gripping the leather patch that read Ironhawks MC. His voice was barely a whisper. "If I don't go back, she'll hurt Lily. Please don't let her." Hawk's jaw tightened. Then he rose to his full height. "Mount up." Engines roared to life outside, thunder rolling across the quiet town. Ethan climbed onto the back of Hawk's bike, coins still clenched in his fist. For the first time in a long time, he felt something he had almost forgotten. Hope. 15 motorcycles roared down the street, headlights cutting through the night. The sound shook the ground, rattled windows, and sent neighbors peeking through curtains. Dogs barked as the wall of steel and leather thundered past. Ethan clung to Hawk's vest, his tiny fingers gripping tight. His voice trembled, almost lost under the engines. "Please, don't let her hurt Lily." Hawk reached one massive hand back, giving the boy's arm a reassuring squeeze. "Not tonight. Not ever again." But as they turned onto Elman Pine, the street Ethan had named, flashes of red and blue filled the night. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. Tank cursed under his breath. "Cops are already there." The Hawks slowed as they neared the crooked little yellow house at the end of Elman Pine. Its porch light flickered weakly, casting jagged shadows across peeling paint. A police cruiser blocked the driveway, red and blue lights strobing across the street. An ambulance idled on the lawn, its engine humming, back doors open. The air carried the heavy mix of exhaust and tension. Ethan's small body pressed tight against Hawk's chest. His voice cracked like glass. That's my house." The bikes growled to silence and heavy boots hit the pavement. The Hawks walked in formation, every step heavy with purpose. A young officer stepped forward, hand hovering over his holster. "Stay back. This is a police scene." Hawk's shoulders squared, his shadow swallowing the officer's. "That boy lives here. Where's his sister?" The officer froze, eyes darting to the child peeking out from behind leather. His hardened posture softened and his hand fell from his belt. He sighed, shaking his head slowly. "She's inside. We've got her safe." Ethan's knees nearly buckled with relief, but he wasn't ready to believe it. Not yet. Two paramedics stepped out of the house. In their arms was a tiny girl wrapped in a blanket. She had blonde curls tangled with tears, cheeks stained red from crying. A worn stuffed rabbit dangled from her little hand. She looked no older than 4, her wide eyes darting nervously at the crowd. "Lily!" Ethan's voice cracked as he broke free, sprinting across the yard. The paramedic bent down just in time for Lily to leap into her brother's arms. She clung to him desperately, sobbing into his shoulder. Ethan buried his face in her hair, holding her like he'd never let go. The bikers stood frozen. These were men who had stared down rival gangs and police standoffs without flinching. But now, more than one blinked hard against the sting of tears. Tank muttered, voice thick, "That's the toughest fight I've ever seen." The officer cleared his throat. "The stepmother's in custody." Neighbors called when they heard screaming. "We'll be taking the kids into protective care until social services can find placement." Ethan turned quickly, clutching Lily tighter. "Not back to her, right? Please." "Not back." Hawk crouched, his massive frame folding down so his eyes met Ethan's. He placed a hand on both children's shoulders. His voice was steady, each word carrying weight like steel. "No, son. You're not going back there. You're safe now. I give you my word." Ethan's chest heaved with a breath he had been holding for years. Tears streamed freely down his face, but this time they weren't only from fear. Lily nestled against her brother, finally calming as Hawk's deep voice wrapped around them like a shield. Tank crossed his arms, glaring at the officer. "If the system slips, if they even think of sending them back to that monster, they'll answer to us." The officer's mouth opened, but he closed it again, realizing there was nothing to argue. Deep down, he knew these bikers weren't a threat tonight. They were guardians. Ethan clutched Hawk's vest tighter, whispering with trembling lips, "You won't forget us, right?" Hawk shook his head. "Not a chance. From tonight on, you've got brothers. And brothers don't forget." As the paramedics checked Lily over, Ethan reached into his pocket. His small fist uncurled to reveal the crumpled bills and coins he had brought to the clubhouse. His hand trembled as he held them out to Hawk. "This is all I've got. I promised I'd pay." The room seemed to hold its breath. Hawk slowly closed Ethan's hand around the coins, curling the boy's fingers tight. "Keep it, son. You don't pay us with money. You've already paid in courage, and that's worth more than all the gold in the world." Rocco, the medic, knelt down beside them. He tugged a worn leather bracelet from his wrist and pressed it into Ethan's palm. Stamped into the leather was the emblem of the Iron Hawks. "This means you're family now. Anytime you're scared, you look at that and you'll know. You've got brothers watching your back." Ethan stared at the bracelet, then at the men towering around him. For the first time since his father had died, he smiled, a small trembling smile, but real. The ambulance doors shut with a heavy thud, and Lily was tucked safely inside under the paramedics' watchful care. But Ethan didn't move from Hawk's side. His eyes darted between the flashing police lights and the roaring Harleys waiting in formation down the street. For once he wasn't afraid, but he wasn't sure where he belonged either. Hawk crouched again, his hand resting firm on the boy's shoulder. "Listen to me, son. Tonight isn't an ending, it's a beginning. You and Lily got a family now. Blood don't make it, loyalty does, and you've got ours." Ethan's small chin wobbled, trying to hold back fresh tears. "Even if we're not bikers?" Tank rumbled a low laugh, stepping forward. "Kid, you rode out with us tonight. That makes you one of us already." The other men nodded, some thumping fists to their chests in quiet agreement. Ethan stared, wide-eyed, realizing these weren't just scary men in leather. They were protectors. They were home. For the first time, he didn't feel like a burden. He felt like he mattered. The Hawks gathered around Ethan in a tight circle, their leather vests creaking as they knelt lower, meeting him eye to eye. Snake, who rarely spoke softly, pulled off his chain and pressed it into Ethan's small hand. This kept me alive in a prison yard. Tonight it belongs to you, means you fight and you survive. Ethan looked at the chain, heavy and cold, then back at Snake's scarred face. The man's eyes glistened even as his jaw stayed hard. Rocco spoke next, patting the boy's shoulder. You've got broken ribs, son, but I'll fix you up. And when you're healed, we'll show you how to ride for real. The boy's eyes lit up just for a moment, with a flicker of something no one had seen in him before. Possibility. Above them, the night sky was vast and endless, but for Ethan it no longer felt empty. Surrounded by men who once only looked like shadows, he saw the truth. They weren't monsters. They were brothers. And for the first time, he believed maybe he could grow up to be strong too. The officer stepped forward, papers in hand, his voice clipped but softer now. Child services will take them in the morning. Until then, they'll be in protective custody tonight. Ethan's face paled. He clutched Hawk's vest, panic bubbling up again. Please, don't let them take us away. They'll forget about us. We'll just disappear. Hawk's eyes burned with fire. He rose, towering over the officer, voice deep as thunder. These kids aren't disappearing. They're Hawks now. And if the system forgets that, then every judge, every social worker, and every cop in this county will answer to me. Tank growled his agreement. Snake spat to the ground. Even the officer, hardened by years on the job, hesitated under the weight of their conviction. Finally, he nodded. I'll make sure they're placed right. I give you my word. Ethan turned, eyes wide with awe. For the first time, he felt the impossible safe. Not because of the badge, but because of the vow of men who kept their promises with fire and steel. The night ended not with silence, but with thunder. The Hawks roared back onto the road, their engines shaking the ground. Ethan sat between Hawk and Tank, Lily cradled safely in Rocco's arms in the van behind. The convoy moved as one, a wall of steel and loyalty cutting through the night. As they rode, Ethan pressed the bracelet against his chest, feeling the weight of leather and iron. Every vibration of the engine beneath him felt like a heartbeat, not his own but theirs, a shared rhythm. The boy looked up at the stars above, whispering into the wind, "Thank you, Dad. I'm safe now." Behind him, Hawk's deep voice carried over the roar. "From now on, you ride with us, son. And no one hurts family." The engines thundered louder, echoing a promise across the empty streets. Ethan no longer felt like a lost child. Tonight, he was a Hawk. Ethan had walked into a biker clubhouse with nothing but bruises, fear, and a pocket of coins. He had asked killers to end his pain, but he walked away with something far greater than revenge. He walked away with a family, because sometimes the roughest men, the ones the world fears most, are the ones who protect the smallest voices. And that night, in the roar of Harley engines, a broken boy found what he thought he'd lost forever: hope. If you like the story, please like and subscribe the channel for more content like this.